For example, one of these core beliefs is that we are each God's children with divine potential, dignity, and worth. This belief assumes automatic equality among us as fellow human beings. It does not allow for any feelings of superiority based on any of our differences. This belief drove Dennis to champion equality in education, encouragement of self-reliance, and accountability for agencies that serve the various populations in our city, state, and national governments. He certainly had his differences with others on the way to achieve those goals. When others did not see it his way, he maybe winced and he maybe murmured a little bit, but agreed to disagree without being disagreeable. Maybe his feelings were close to those of Abraham Lincoln's when he said, "With malice toward none, with charity toward all, and firmness in the right, as God gives us to see the right, let us strive on to finish the work we are in, to do all which may achieve and cherish a just and lasting peace among ourselves and with all nations." The importance of family as the foundation of successful communities, states, and nations is another deeply held belief of Dennis Richardson. Children are a wonderful gift from a loving God. They are also a stewardship. Children raised and loved by parents who feel accountable for their future success are essential to successful current and future communities. Dennis and Kathy raised and loved 9 children. They helped those children feel their worth and their potential and filled them with confidence that they could achieve that potential. They also encouraged those wonderful children to see the joy of having a family themselves. This encouragement included a sense of confidence in the future based on preparation. I have never sensed a fear of the future with Dennis. For Dennis and Kathy, nothing seems more natural and desirable than seeing the love that they felt between each other and for their children continue into the next life. That is their firmly held belief. Dennis has moved on to another sphere of existence and undoubtedly waits anxiously for his family to finish their important tasks here, as he did. The Richardsons had some wonderful family reunions here. There are other wonderful reunions that await them, that await each of them in the future with Dennis, because death is not the end of family. Ongoing education is a belief that was essential to Dennis' success. He loved to learn. This found birth in his conviction that the glory of God is intelligence. He saw education as a key to eliminating ignorance. He had high expectations for educating himself, his family, and for any institution of public education. These expectations were accompanied by clear accountability for this public trust. As a soldier, Dennis was proud to have served his country in the military as a combat helicopter pilot. He made repeated attempts to help veterans receive the respect, the benefits, and attention they deserve. He had high expectations for the delivery of these key services for these heroes and implemented systems of accountability to see that these services were delivered. I saw this repeatedly in Southern Oregon as he looked out for veterans privately and helped in the creation of memorials for these men and women who gave their lives or limbs or minds for this country. He loved being with them. I could see his mantra of, "What shall I give for having received so much?" as he talked with and was the personal friend to so many fellow veterans. Can people change? Can they leave behind a life of addiction or abuse or crime and choose a different way? Dennis's core belief, based in a spiritual witness he possessed of the reality of Jesus Christ, is a resounding yes to these and other similar questions. Hope is a precious word. It is critical to wanting to change. Anyone can hope, and anyone can change. Dennis' example of continuous improvement and the need to change himself gave him hope that through education, training, belief in oneself, and self-awareness, one life can change from darkness to light, and then generations can change. These family transitional figures that leave behind their addictions, abuse, and lives of crime become what the prophet Isaiah said. And they that shall be of thee shall build the old waste places. Thou shalt raise up the foundations of many generations. And thou shalt be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of paths to dwell in. On to another core belief. Lord, when saw we thee and hungered and fed thee, or thirsty and gave thee drink? When saw we thee a stranger and took thee in, or naked and clothed thee? Or when saw we thee sick or in prison and came unto thee? And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these, my brethren, ye have done it unto me. The least of these were understood by Dennis to be the disenfranchised and vulnerable of our society. Children are almost always among the most vulnerable and exploited populations in this world. Education is key to their independence in the future and happiness now. By encouraging and holding accountable the education systems that are responsible for the education of our children in our state, Dennis showed in a broad way his concern for the future of our state and our country. Their futures are dependent on the quality of education in our state. They will be more self-reliant in the future when empowered by great education. Perhaps children become most vulnerable when they are removed from their families and enter into the foster care system. Dennis had high expectations for the way these children are taken care of in our state. A recent audit performed under his direction showed that we can improve as we help these vulnerable children. Also, Dennis encouraged adoption as the healthy solution for vulnerable children. Among his own children is Mary, who he and Kathy lovingly adopted, and is now a Richardson just like all the rest of them. Other vulnerable populations are some of our senior citizens. Dennis's children recount not just one, but many occasions in which he took them personally to care for a senior citizen who was lonely or needed help. He was personally involved in helping the homeless of our valley. He reached out to young men and young women who may have felt like they did not belong and befriended them and got them involved. He also was an advocate of those with disabilities. Dennis did not feel that government was the solution to most of our societal problems. He saw in various organizations outside of government the solutions to many problems that we face in Oregon. He developed working relationships with many of these organizations, including people of faith all over the state of Oregon. He encouraged people of faith and different religious organizations to work together and with other service groups and businesses to improve the quality of life of the disenfranchised and vulnerable in our state. He encouraged people of faith to find our many shared values and go to work together based on those shared values to help these disenfranchised and vulnerable groups. There are so many worthy causes that we can join together to advance and implement our shared values. Some groups in need make louder pleas than others. Listen to these wise words from world-renowned Harvard business professor and business leader Clayton Christensen. In your life, there are going to be constant demands for your time and attention. How are you going to decide which of those demands gets the resources? The trap many of us fall into is to allocate our time to whoever screams the loudest, and our talent to whatever offers us the fastest reward. That's a dangerous way to build a strategy, unquote. The core principles of Dennis Richardson have kept him from these traps in life. He has responded with his time and talent to what he has felt are the greatest priorities according to his core principles, not just who has screamed the loudest. We are better as a people and as a state for it. Thank you for this example, Dennis. I will miss you dearly.